Welcome back to Brazil Crypto Report. Today we unveil our 2023 Most Influential series. We examine the 10 individuals who had the most impact on Brazil's digital asset ecosystem during the year. And be sure to stay tuned till the end to find out who wins our Villain of the Year award. All right, so we are joined here by Antonio Neto, Vega Crypto. Thanks for being on the show, Antonio. And today we're going to be talking about the 2023 Most Influential list, so the great unveiling. So welcome back to the
Aaron.
show. Amazing,
amazing. Thank you for having me. It's going to be fun to go through these names. We had some controversial ones. Some people talked about it, but we will leave that to the end.
Yeah. I feel like with these lists, it's like sometimes you end up making more enemies than friends with these sorts of things. But anyway, but the point of this list, just to give everyone some context, is so we came up with a preliminary grouping of like 50 names from across the Brazil ecosystem, basically from various different types of roles. So like YouTubers and content creators to builders to lawyers to government people to like banker, Drex people. Kind of every aspect of the digital asset world, and then also different types of just trying to get like a diverse, a broad subset of people, and then we put those 50 names out to vote to the public, and we left that open for about 2 weeks for folks to vote, and we got a pretty good response. So thanks to everyone who voted, and then we took those responses and we curated this top 10 list. And it wasn't necessarily a popularity contest. This isn't just like, okay, whoever got the most votes gets in the top 10, but the voting was like a very impactful way of us formulating this top 10 list. We really wanted a top 10 list that is kind of a snapshot of the Brazil crypto ecosystem at this point in time for the year 2023. So we wanted to make sure that all the different components are represented. Because if it was a popularity contest, it would just be like all the YouTubers who would just tell their audiences to vote for them. And it's not really that useful. So, but anyway, thhanks everyone for voted. I mean, we definitely took all those votes into account, and yeah, so we're going to unveil this here today with Antonio. So let's do it. Yeah. So first on the list, I'm going to spin up my screen share here. Just hold on 1 second. So first on the list, actually, we have Rafael Castaneda, so Casta Crypto. And Casta is an interesting, I've never actually met Casta. I'm going to be interviewing him for the show here shortly. But he got by far the most votes of anybody in the poll. So he is obviously he has a very like engaged community because they all came out and voted for him. But I've listened to a few interviews with him. I've been familiar with him for a while now. And I really like his approach. He's been creating some really interesting content on YouTube and Twitter. He also has like a guild called Casta Guild that he's been doing. That's more of like an educational forum for people that are just interested in learning more about crypto and the community behind it and the tech behind it, etc. And I think what I really like about Casta's approach is that he's not kind of like your typical like stereotypical like YouTube crypto influencer who's just shilling like meme coins and NFTs and stuff, but he goes really deep into a lot of the tech, into some of the philosophy. He even identifies as like a techno philosopher, and he's got 2 decades of actual like software engineering experience, so he like knows the tech and is not just kind of making things up and talking about it. So I find his content to be like very kind of like deep, but also accessible to the average person. So congratulations to Casta. So
yeah, some comments about his work. I would say that he's doing Satoshi's work, doing this full spectrum analysis and education of the whole ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, crypto is composed by the speculative part, financial, and so on, but it also has its own philosophy. So Casta has been doing some great work for the past 2 years. He's well known in the community and has done a very good job in educating people with the right content, right? Because a lot of these A lot of these YouTubers and influencers, they're mostly for the trend. They want to ride it and then just leave everyone behind, and just and doesn't take people out of the normal experience curve where they getting into FOMOing in crypto, getting to the top, keep holding, and then gets burned in holding the coin. So I think the work done right now in the bear market will pay off for him, for his followers, and I think it's very well deserved nomination, or sorry, prize, let's say.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And one other thing I found interesting about him is that he actually didn't really come into crypto at all until like 2021. And where usually a lot of these real like technical guys, they've kind of been around for a long time. And usually
Yeah.
the people that came in kind of the 2021 cohort were more of just like NFT grifters and stuff like that, like just that kind of came in when there's easy money.
Yeah.
So for somebody like of his kind of credential and background to come in at that time, and it's not something you see very often, I guess. So I found that really interesting. So moving on to the next one, we have Helu Passos of Trex. So she has kind of become, I guess, sort of the face of like blockchain gaming in Brazil. Over the last few years, she built the largest Axie Infinity community in Latin America. I think she had something like 30,000 gamers, Axie Infinity gamers that were playing in her community. And then she started Trex at the beginning of this year to basically help game developers and help kind of bootstrap communities around these games. But yeah, so she's glad to have her on this list. I think it's really cool to have just someone of her. Like she's just a super cool person, and she's very humble, but she's just very passionate.
Yeah, exactly. I think that gaming in Brazil, it's big. I think it's gonna be enormous in Web3, and I think that at the end of the day, one of the things we look at that is who survived it and who came out stronger out of the bear market post last bull market, right? A lot of the people that went on to do stuff with Axie Infinity and create guilds and do this stuff, they just got burned and left. I think she's maybe the only one who did something out of it. So again, very well deserved to be here. She has been building a great product, got the attention of Vitalik and so on. So, but that shows the potential that Brazil has in terms of technology and then audience as well for gaming.
Yeah, and I think even though gaming had a pretty bad year this year, 2023, but it feels like that the next bull cycle there's going to be a big uptick in these things, or in this particular segment, just given the amount of VC money that's been thrown into this, and just intuitively as a use case, just makes a lot of sense, right? For a variety of reasons, just demographic reasons and whatever. So excited to see how Helu and her team can keep the momentum going here into the new year. So congratulations to Helu Passos. So next we have Guto Antunes, who's head of digital assets at Itaú. And Itaú had a pretty big year. A couple weeks ago, they just launched their crypto brokerage platform for retail customers. Just Bitcoin and Ethereum for the time being, but hey, it's a start. And they've also been involved in the Drex project heavily. They've been involved in some asset tokenization initiatives. They've got kind of a custody service. They've been spending. I mean, Itaú's just been kind of. I think they have a team of like 50 people on their digital assets group right now. So they've definitely emerged as a leader here. I mean, I would even argue globally among banks with regards to digital assets.
Yeah, totally. Their team, I think, is about 70 people right now. I think
Oh,
it's the
really?
biggest
Okay.
one in Latin America. Yeah, and I think that the two biggest banks like Itaú and BTG, they have been doing some very good work. Itaú this year took let's say, a more not hard path, but like a strong desire to build in crypto. So they got they invested in Liqui digital assets. They started building the custody. Now they just launched an exchange as well, similar to what BTG did. And all of the banks in Brazil have been trying to push products that are closer to their core products. And Itaú took a step further when they invested in Liqui, where they're basically redesigning some old school TradFi protocols, right? Leaky just announced the TDEC, which is a tokenized credit fund. And it's a very traditional finance protocol that exists is a product, is a fund. But at the end of the day, is a bunch of actions and processes that builds this fund at the end of the day. So this fund is actually it can become a protocol. So it's beautiful to see these redesigns going on in the market. And again, given the Drax, and we're gonna talk about this here, it's actually beautiful to see these things being redesigned to an on-chain world and blockchain based.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool to see, really Brazil's old, one of the oldest, largest banks, really at the forefront on some of this stuff. It's very encouraging to see, and so congratulations to Guto and the Itaú team. All right, so next up we have Fabio Arujo, who's the Drex coordinator at the central bank, and Fabio has been, with some of these like central bank guys, I feel like they've kind of been working in as like these kind of obscure technocrats for most of their career, right? And then now all of a sudden he's like, they're like these celebrities, right? I feel like that's kind of the same. That's kind of the vibe I get from Fabio. Like he was just kind of this, he's like this, does his thing, he's a nice guy, whatever. But like now he's this kind of direct celebrity, being invited to talk at all these conferences and talk to all these journalists and things. But he's sort of the face of this, right? Of the whole Drex project. I mean, obviously it's Roberto Campos Netos's vision overall, but Fabio is the one who's sort of been tasked with really, making it happen. And it's an insanely sort of difficult, like very just broad vision project, right? That they're trying to implement here, and it's. I feel like they're doing a pretty good job, right? Like they've got the pilot up and running, and they got everybody online. They've got the consortiums figured out. They've got some technical challenges as far as scalability and privacy and things like that, but none of that is. I don't think any of that is like unexpected.
Yeah.
But they seem to be doing a pretty good job, and they're like relatively on schedule, right? So
Yeah, exactly. I think they're like given all the resource limitations, the whole rewiring of the financial system. It's a big endeavor. But I think that not without reason that he was one of the most voted because the market recognized the very good work they're doing. And Fabio seems to be this guy that actually got the time to understand. Of course, again, it's not an easy feat. So he did a very good job getting prepared for it. And now he's doing a very good job preparing everyone to come to the Drax. And I think that's just it's just a reflection of the work they're doing. I think the central bank overall is doing a I won't say Satoshi's work because then we would get into the philosophical part of it, but they're doing a great work that will allow the economy to unlock a lot of value, and we are seeing it already happening, and it basically warrants a full change, or well, not a full change, but like a big change in the overall market in general. Because as we just mentioned, a protocol was changed. Like the way you build a fund for credits is now different. It's now being designed to be done on chain on a DLT based technology. So it's just great to see this whole thing coming to life, and Fabio Araújo is the key person to make it happen here in Brazil.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So congratulations to Fabio and the team there. So moving ahead here, we have Patricia Stili. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce the last name. Stili, I think.
Steely.
But she is the CEO of B4, which is a tokenized or a marketplace for basically a secondary market for trading tokenized shares of small to medium sized companies. And this is super interesting because for a number of reasons. Like, I think the use case is one of these things that people in crypto and blockchain have been hovering over the target of for many years now. And there's a lot of, like, the graveyard of projects that have tried to do this is pretty big, frankly. Like things like T0, that raised tons of money back in the day, and that the whole thing I think it got scrapped. But a lot of the issue here is around, like, just regulatory, approvals and things of that nature. And but with B4, they've been able to plug into the CVM regulatory sandbox and kind of get the blessing of that. So they're able to issue these shares, these tokenized shares. They're able to offer trading of these shares, and basically providing a service for, providing some liquidity essentially for investors of these kind of small and medium-sized companies that wouldn't necessarily exist otherwise. So, and then what's really interesting here is that they've actually been able to close some partnerships with Itaú and Genial to be basically distributors of these assets, right? Because it's one thing to issue these things, then you have to actually find people to buy them, right? So having these distribution channels in place and the regulatory infrastructure in place seems like it's a pretty big deal. And like this might actually work, right? Is sort of my read on this. Like, I think all the ingredients are here.
Yeah, totally. I think that next year we will see in Brazil a very big push in capital markets, and B3 as the biggest, and not the biggest, but the almost, no, sorry, there's another one, but the biggest exchange in Brazil. They have been in the forefront, in the vanguard of having this type of products coming out that could disrupt their business. So capital markets will be a big thing. We have the CVM issuing a CRIA, which is basically a labs for the development of their tokenized ecosystem. We have the monetary being done by the central bank. The CVM is looking into that. So they are. We are to see a lot of things going on that front here in Brazil, and I think that B3 is just pushing ahead with their investments and having this one coming to life. Another comment here. There is, I think, a couple other exchanges that are doing the same. They are tokenizing small and medium businesses to allow investments, be there in that equity or just equity issuance and so on for investments. So again, very very excited to see how that comes to life next year.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So congratulations to Patricia and the B4 team for that. Looking forward to hearing more about this in the coming year. So moving on here. Next up, we have Guilherme Nazar, who's the Director General for Binance in Brazil. And probably needs no introduction here of what's happened over the course of this last year with him. But he took this job around this time last year. He had a pretty distinguished career as building out Uber in Brazil. Very like Uber's massive in Brazil now, so he's obviously is quite impressive what he built out there. He took this job with Binance about a year ago as kind of being the face of the exchange here in Brazil, and Binance has had sort of a rough year, I guess you could say. It hasn't been the easiest time. He probably didn't quite understand what he was getting himself into, but there's the CPI where he was dragged in front of the committee, and they basically kind of tarred and feathered him, even though he wasn't really even around when a lot of this nefarious activity allegedly occurred. So it's not really his fault, but he was sort of blamed for it. but nonetheless, Binance is still kind of the top dog, right? They've still got the most market share globally and in Brazil. And I think this settlement with the U.S. authorities really kind of and CZ stepping down as CEO, I think that really gives Binance kind of a clean slate to start from. And
Kinda.
and the new CEO, yeah, kind of, yeah, kind of potentially,
Because because
and
just a comment
but
here in Brazil,
but
it's still unclear. Like the CVM is looking into what Binance did and so on. So yeah, like Guilherme did a very good job to keep Binance on this on the position that they have. You know, like keeping the central bank and all the regulators just like, okay, yeah, let's get something going and leave everyone operating in Brazil as is. But I don't think overall, like as some of you know, I was a former FTX, so it's actually a work that should be done internally to avoid pyramid schemes joining your business. Of course, they will always find new ways to do it, but like it is the business to do it. So overall, I think they did a great job. They continue to perform well in Brazil. Next year is yet to be seen because, as I said, like CVM is not taking their foot off the gas. You know, they're going after Binance because all of the history that's pre Guilherme that exists in Brazil. But overall, I would say that he pulled a a very good talk, let's say, on the CPI. He showed everyone, like, he didn't say any lies, but he showed everyone how the market actually works. So that's good and forces the hand of the regulator to see how they should proceed.
yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job holding up under some pretty intense questioning. Obviously, I think he's got some good lawyers who are training him on what to say, obviously,
Yeah.
but he did, but it's still like being dragged in front of something like this and being in that type of situation is definitely not something that most people could handle. So, I think kudos to him for handling that well, and it does seem like Binance they're they at least they say they're trying to do they're trying to move ahead with this Simpol acquisition that would basically make them a a regulated entity under the central bank. I think the new CEO even said that in an interview with Valor last week, saying that this is our plan. Like there is no plan B. Like we are going to become a regulated financial entity in Brazil. So it seems like they are trying to go ahead and do the right thing here. So we'll take them at their word, I guess, on that. So I guess moving on the topic of the CPI, I guess staying on that topic, we'll shift over to Auri Ribeiro, who I guess he's basically, this guy's not really a new face in Brazil crypto. He's been interested in this since 2015 or 16 or so. I think he's the guy that introduced like the original crypto legislation way back when they were trying to classify it as like e-money or something back in the day. And then he was the force behind getting the legislation actually passed last year, around this time last year. And then he reemerged this year as the guy really pushing the CPI committee on financial pyramids. And the CPI committee was pretty controversial in my view. I think it was a bit of a show in a lot of ways. It was just kind of political theater. But I do think it had the impact of at least demonstrating to the public that the government cares about this and they're trying to root out some of the bad stuff that was going on. And there was a huge problem with these pyramid schemes. It's undeniable, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
and that stuff really dealt a lot of reputational damage to this industry. So I think having, it's too early to really say, like, was this committee like a success or not? I think we won't really know that for a while, but it seems like it had the impact of at least helping to clean up the image a little bit and just show people that, okay, like that government's paying attention. Like we're trying to crack down on this stuff. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that Auto came from a very different end of the spectrum. Back in 2015 or 16, there was the first proposed law for crypto. Then in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, he took over that project. And at that time, it was just financial crimes and activities related to that. And it moved it to maybe because the market matured, but it moved it to more of like, okay, let's build something that actually can won't stifle innovation and will bring some oversight to the market. So at the end of the day, like as you said, by this time last year we had the law approved, and it's a very high level one that that addresses some of the biggest problems, like who are the regulators, some big headlines, not big headlines, but some big topics that are covered in the law and now are being detailed by the central bank, who is the regulator. So, and then after that, after they understood better the market and the technology and so on, they went on to the CPI and got that going. And I think overall the CPI had good results, could have done more, could have, by the end of it, it lost a bit of its focus. It went to mileage points, because we had the 1 to 3 miles problem here in Brazil. But I think overall it showed the Congress that pyramid schemes is not a crypto problem, but rather let's say a non-oversought financial market, or at least things, right? Not um, like these problems that we have against the financial, sorry, the the policy savings. So I think overall they did a very good job. If we are to consider what usually the politicians do in Brazil, I would consider that a good job. They didn't stifle innovation. They got things going. They heard and understood the market, and now they're just trying to, like, okay guys, crypto is not a, it's well defined, it's not a currency, it is an asset. So if you want to, we are going to treat that as an asset. If you want to trade this, oh, here it is, a virtual asset service providers, a license. And then you have all these yet to be seen again, um, uh, norms and laws that will come from the central bank regarding crypto and the VASPs, the virtual asset service providers, and then against these financial crimes that um, basically ca- they play with the hopes of a lot of Brazilians, to to have a better income, to have a better life and so on. So hopefully they can address that on the coming law. Again, not stifling innovation, but actually looking at the business models, what they're promising, or even guaranteeing, as we're gonna see ahead. But yeah, overall, I think it's we're on the right path.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, all right, so let's move ahead to the next one here. So we have Bernardo Sruer of AB Crypto. So AB Crypto is the trade association, I guess, would be the the English name for it, but kind of trade group, lobby group that represents the industry here in Brazil. And Bernardo took over, I believe, in early 2022. So he's been there for about 2 years as I think he started as executive director, and now he's CEO. I'm not sure if that has any tangible difference or not in those titles, but he's running the operation. And what I found interesting about this was just that when AB Crypto started, it was a kind of a small, very insulated lobby group of some local exchanges, and their mission was really just to sort of push this law that we were just talking about, this legislation in Congress. So it was a handful of local exchanges that were pushing this legislation, and then they succeeded and they got it passed. But this year they've really broadened out the scope and the remit of the organization. So I think they're up to maybe over 40 members now, domestically and foreign companies, including some really big names like Itaú and MasterCard and Visa, like Chainalysis, all this kind of stuff. And that I think that's super impressive to be getting names like that joining a crypto trade association. Like the trade associations in the U.S., like they don't. I mean, I think some of us they don't take TradFi members. I think that's maybe that part of it. But like Blockchain Association, for example, they don't even take TradFi members. But in this case, for getting these types of members in your ranks is pretty impressive. And I think. And they've rolled out a few other things like some, kind of compliance credentialing type programs. They've done some good events. They've done like a census of the industry and provided just more kind of research and education kind of stuff. So they've done a really good job of just like turning this into like a full blown just trade association that represents the industry in Brazil. So congratulations to Bernardo on that. But any thoughts from you, Antonio?
Yeah, AB Crypto also has come a long way since 2017 or 18 when it was first incubated and started existing. And so this long way has come and has gone through some of the things you mentioned, like from being a closed circle of exchanges trying to lobby and protect the market to a trade association that actually looks into the economy of crypto. Like this blockchain / Web3 enabled economy. The name is even a Brazilian Association of Crypto Economy. So I think they came a long way on. Okay, again, just like the regulators, just like the builders, just like the banks, they're like, okay, we see this as a force of technological innovation where we can unlock value in the country and build more stuff on top. So I think Bernardo is also the key person that has been pushing this train in, let's say, on the private market. If in one side we have Fabio Araújo, like doing the DRAX and coordinating that. On the other, we have on the private sector, we have Bernardo trying to coordinate some of these big players in the market and interfacing with the regulators here in Brazil. And this is very, very advantageous for the market because it just pushes and gives clarity for the regulators about everything, and allows the crypto economy to be developed in the market. One last comment is about the certification program. This again, they are doing this. The same thing that exists in TradFi in Brazil is done by Ambima, which is certifying companies, professionals eventually, and so on, to guarantee that we have the right professionals in the market to actually work on this tokenized economy. Because, well, we just talked about Itaú, BTG. Like, these guys will need to have their whole company understanding about blockchain, what is a hash, how this thing works, because they are used to COBOL systems, and now they're going to be moving to a almost fully automated in terms of processes system. So we are very excited for that here at Vega. We are looking ahead to see how the market will prepare and certify these professionals.
Very cool.
Companies.
Very cool. Very cool. So moving ahead now we have Joselu Lopez, who's the CEO of SmartPay. And so SmartPay is the company that basically created the SwapX application and then the Truther app. And for those of you who don't know what this is basically a mechanism whereby you can convert instantaneously between BRL, Brazilian reals, and USDT Tether using Pix. So this application that he's built, it basically allows whether a gringo or even a Brazilian the ability to interface with the entire financial system in Brazil without even needing a bank account. So you can make anywhere that accepts PIX payments. You can make a payment, and it just comes out of your, like, it converts from like USDT into the merchant receives the reals. And if you want to receive a payment, they can send you a PIX, and then it'll convert into USDT, and you'll get USDT in your wallet. And it's a super cool application that, and it can be used like anywhere that accepts PIX, basically. So if you're in Argentina, or if you're in Orlando, or if you're like anywhere in the world that accepts PIX, like, you can use this application. And it's just it just strikes me as like a very just like, this is kind of like living out the dream of or like the promise of crypto, where it's you're interfacing with the traditional financial situation. Yeah, it's like, well, you're able to interface with the traditional financial system, but you're doing it in a way where, like, you control the money. It's not some external third party bank that's controlling your money. It's like you control the money, but you're just using this. So anyway, so I'm really excited about this product. He's got some plans to roll this out in a bit more kind of full fashion in the coming year. So
Rossello is an OG in the market. Like, his story goes back to like 2012 or 11, with Bitcoin, like mining in Paraguay and so on. So he's been around, and he's seen some of these hurdles that is to interface with banks, and so on. So I think this application reflects that, and they got a very good partnership with Bitfinex, and the Tether issuer. And these solutions that they're creating now to make payments across Latin America, that's a very, it's not an easy feat either. So it deserves recognition on the work done there.
Yeah, so congratulations to Rossello. Nice work. And then rounding out the top 10 here, we have Mateus Mora, who is the CEO of BRLA Digital. And these guys are an interesting case, because I'd never heard of them at the beginning of the year, and I'm not sure many people had, but they started off, the first half of the year, they were launching a kind of a crypto fund, like a CVM regulated crypto fund. And I mean, all these guys kind of came from TradFi backgrounds, basically, but they were launching a crypto fund, and then they had the realization that, hey, maybe this is the thing to be doing, is building out basically crypto fiat on ramp infrastructure. So they pivoted, they shut down the fund, they returned all the money to the investors they had lined up, and they pivoted on dime, and they spun up their own stablecoin, this BRLA stablecoin, in addition to a bunch of different APIs for basically allowing companies and projects to plug and play into PIX, into just the Brazilian fiat financial system, essentially. And they raised about 3 million reais in the seed round. I think the former CFO of Binance was was the lead of that round. And they've only been at it for like 6 months, and they've already got a few interesting partnerships lined up. Like, they're the on ramp for Picnic, which is this DeFi project that's been getting a lot of traction lately. They're the on ramp for that. I think they've got a couple of other interesting ones as well. But these guys got a ton of votes in the voting, so they're like, people, I guess maybe they weren't super well known 6 months ago, but people seem to know who they are now. So this is really interesting.
They got some very good support from the community. But yeah, the stablecoin business is, I would say it's a bit unclear how it's gonna be, but raising on the bear market, goddamn, that's a very good feat to be achieved. And yeah, we were just talking about Rossello. It's kind of this payment problem. It's even though I have been researching recently about this, and there's a lot of people participating in payments and building solutions and so on. And I believe that the differentiation will be on the value add and the speed of the transactions, like all of that, rather than the fees itself to perform a transaction. So yeah, on my side, I think that it's well deserved as well for raising some capital on the bear market. It proves that they're probably solving someone's problem, because in the bear market, the VCs change a bit of their goal on raising on what they're looking for. So yeah, congratulations to the BRLA team.
And then to round out here, we have our Villain of the Year award. So in 2021, this went to the Gladeson, the gas consultoria guy, Pharaoh of Bitcoins. Last year, it went to the Sheik of Bitcoins. This year, it goes to your namesake, actually, Antonio Neto Ice from Paraiba, who's the CEO of Bryce Company. So this guy ran a $1.5 billion or billion real pyramid scheme, basically kind of the same as the others, promising 10% monthly returns. He had 10,000 some investors. Around this time last year, some investors started complaining that they weren't getting their withdrawals or they couldn't withdraw money. And then by February, it was the whole thing had just imploded, and the police raided the Bryce Company headquarters in Paraiba. But by that time, Antonio Neto Ice he was already gone. He'd already sold all of his stuff, all of his mansions and whatever, and he fled the country. And he's supposedly in Argentina, we think.
Heard that he was around in Campina Grande again in Paraíba.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfinished
Maybe,
business,
I don't
maybe.
know.
Yeah, but well, anyway, but he appears to have gotten away with it for now, anyway. So I don't know if that warrants congratulations, but
yeah, it doesn't warrant a congratulations, but it's worth mentioning. I believe every year to bring some villain to show people and keep it fresh for them, to not fall for these promises, like these guarantees of, oh, I guarantee you're gonna make 5% a month with me. Like, that's just impossible. Like, you can target 5%, but you guaranteeing it, uh, I would be aware of that. But yeah, anyways, I think that it doesn't deserve the warrant, but it shows how the market is evolving and maturing, right? But we are to see again next year. Hopefully, we don't have as much pyramid schemes as we had in the past. It's about $100 billion reais problem in Brazil. It's about $20 billion have been robbed, scammed out of people in the last 2 or 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, not congrats to him, but congrats to Congress and to for passing some laws about it, because not even the police found him yet.
yeah, and I do think that this Bryce Company example was one of the factors that led to the CPI committee being instituted or being put into place, right? Is just because
Yeah.
like we've just had like one scheme after another that's collapsed over the year, and then you keep thinking, okay, that's the last one, and then there's like another huge one that comes.
Yeah.
So
We even
anyway,
had the Ronaldinho Gaúcho involved in one. So
yeah, we first talked about Ronaldinho Gaúcho. Yeah, he didn't make the list this year, unfortunately. Maybe he could be at the villain of the year list for next year or something. But yeah, anyway, this pyramid scheme stuff continues to. I mean, even just a couple weeks ago, we had this whole titanium asset thing that still waiting for details on that, exactly what's happening there. But yeah, there still seem to be some of these things that might crumble still, unfortunately. So be wary, be mindful of these things. So
yes.
Anyway, well, that does it for our 2023 most influential list. Congratulations to all the winners, or all the nominees, and thanks to Antonio for going over this list with us here, and thanks everyone who voted in the survey.
Yeah, it was my pleasure to be part of it, and count on me for next year. Cheers.
Amazing.